Good evening. Welcome to another episode of Cinnamon Chat with Amita, Sri Lanka's first LinkedIn live talk show. We meet you weekly on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on YouTube. So, how is your day today? For some, it is a holiday. So, we wish our friends, Hindu friends who celebrate Pongal, a happy Pongal. And whoever is joining with us, again, good evening to you. My name is Amita Gamage, as of all of you know, and I have been doing this for about close to 3 months now. And you might ask me, Amita, why a LinkedIn live talk show? Now, I have close to 15,000 connections on my LinkedIn, and I wanted to add value because they add a hell of a lot of value to me over the years. So I got LinkedIn Live, and then I started to uh, go on solo for a few weeks. And then I decided, in order to add more value, I need to bring an expert here and then offer value to the network. So, as I told you earlier, we are not only on LinkedIn, but we are also simultaneously streaming this onto Facebook. So, what about today's topic? We have been covering a lot of things. Before that, let me also tell you what I do. Sometimes people ask, okay, Amita, what do you do? Because I do many things. Number one, I'm an executive coach, and especially I coach the C-suite. And then I'm a personal branding strategist. I help individuals, professionals, business owners enhance their personal brand with my coaching. I'm also a sales performance evangelist, especially in the B2B sector. So, today we are going to speak about a very important and a timely topic, rising in crisis. Now, crisis could come in different form. It could happen in different forms. We saw the US Capitol was in siege, a few days back. That's a crisis. There could be floods. That's a natural disaster. Then it's a crisis. There could be political crisis, economic crisis, personal crisis, psychological crisis, physical crisis. I mean, crisis could take in different shapes. And then if you ask me, I have read so many books from foreign authors about crisis, about various management topic. And then it's very rarely that we find a Sri Lankan writing a book that can be used by the corporate world, that can be used by startups, that can be used by managers alike. And I got hold of that book about a week ago. That's called Rising in Crisis. And then I thought, why don't I interview the author than me coming and talking about the topic? And then when I spoke to him, he said, Amita, I'm more than happy to add value to your show and to your audience. I mean, it's such an opportunity for our audience. So the author is SHANTA Rajapaksha YAPA. So let us bring him on stage and welcome him.
Hi, Bhuvan.
Good evening. Good
Good
evening
evening,
and hi,
Amita.
everyone. Yes. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. On behalf of my audience, I would like to thank you once again.
Amita, I should also express my sincere thanks and gratitude to you and your audience for having me on this great show. I have been watching how this show was catching up and progressing. Congratulations for this great work, and I'm happy to share
Okay.
about the book.
All right. Right. So let me ask, some basic questions first before we get into the crisis. The real topic today. I would like to know a little bit about you. because before you became becoming an author, I know that you are a top management consultant, management guru in Sri Lanka. You have produced so much of corporate leaders. That much I know. But can we get to know a little bit more about you? Maybe a little bit about your family, school, and your profession before we get into the book.
In terms of my family, it's my wife who is watching this show live. She's Sally, and my son Sachira, and my daughter Deshani.
Shanta, can you hear me? Or looks
Yeah,
like
yeah,
your network is
I can hear.
little slow.
No, I can hear you. Is my line stable? Can you hear me?
Okay, Shanta.
Yes.
Yeah, uh, yeah. No, line is not stable. What you could do is just check whether you have any other devices connected. Shanta, just
Yes.
check whether there are any other devices connected to the same network.
Okay.
You better remove them. Phones or anything else. If you could remove them, then this your line will be dedicated to the show. So we lost you momentarily. So you will have to
Yeah.
go again.
Yeah. Can you hear me
A
now?
little bit about yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
good.
Amita, I started my career some 35 years back. My first job was with Sri Lanka Cement Corporation. My background is mechanical engineering. I did National Diploma in Technology at University of Moratuwa. My specialization is into automobile engineering, and I changed my career quite on a regular basis. I joined Upali Newspapers Limited as a maintenance executive and became maintenance engineer there. Then I became a banker. I worked for Hat National Bank for almost 11 years. Then switched to another entity that was a small group of family-owned companies. We were into manufacturing a lot of stuff for exports. Then I joined Selinco Group. Then I joined a software company, worked there for almost 11 years. Even now, I work for Avonet Technologies, which is a well-known software firm which is into banking solutions. My academic background,
Okay.
I do have qualifications in management, banking, engineering, many different disciplines, economics, and I have been teaching in almost 20 universities for 20 years, quite diverse fields. That's about
Yeah.
myself.
So that also tells uh, that you have the authority to write a book of this nature. I mean, somebody could
Of
ask,
course,
why
of course,
Shanta?
yeah.
What is his? Yeah.
Of course, if you
Go
go
ahead.
through the book, each and every chapter, when I was writing, it was like I was, let's say, going back to my history, and I was going through factories. I was visiting as a banker various factories. All those came into my mind. I refreshed my memories, and it was very easy to start writing. Amita, in a previous discussion, I told you as to how I started, how this idea came to myself. We all were partially locked
Yeah.
down on March 16th or March 18th, and I was engaged in various activities. Like one
Yes.
of my MBA students invited me to join an innovation team that was promoted by a medical research institute in Sri Lanka, a voluntary organization. I was helping various
Okay.
inventors and innovators to come up with medical devices during pandemic. Then I was thinking whether I should start writing something to help people to face the crisis with confidence using my knowledge. Then all of a sudden this idea came to my mind, why not I start writing a book, because you don't know when you can go back to your offices. So I spoke to my company directors. You have to have this kind of company officials to support. If not, you can never, because you are working from home and you can never start writing a book. What I received from my directors, the response, please go ahead. And one of my directors, I should mention his name, Tilina, he said, Shanta, as you finish each and
Yeah.
every chapter, send it to me so that I can give some feedback. That was, can you expect any better
Wow.
response from your company owners? So with the blessings, I started exactly on
Response.
Sinhala
Yeah.
and Tamil New Year Day. That was
Yeah.
14th or 13th or 14th of last year, April. It took exactly 1 month for me to write the 12 chapters. And it took another 1 month for me to add examples,
Wow.
case studies, and make it a academic oriented book. And this book, as you can see, this has 270 plus pages, 70,000 words written in 2 months. Uh, you might be wondering, but it was like, for me, it was like conducting a lecture. Usually, our MBA lectures, the
Yeah.
time slot is 4 hours.
So,
You have to keep on
so
talking.
you are,
Yes, Amita, go ahead.
yeah. So Shanta, it's like, you are putting me also into a big trouble. I mean, you're also putting me into a big trouble in the sense, I feel guilty. Okay, I have been thinking about writing so many books, but never wrote a single word, right? And then you have finished a book in uh,
2 months.
1 month.
Yeah.
Okay, we
Uh,
have few comments. Some of our usual fans are coming here. Let's see some of the comments.
mhm. Yeah. Amita, if I continue to
Yeah, Ashint says, it's a crisis only if one looks at it like a crisis.
Of course, in somewhere in the book, you would see there's a word that goes as it's a Chinese word. It goes as prob ops. The English equivalent of this Chinese Mandarin word is prob ops, where the entire nation they say their way of looking at a problem is it's not only a problem; it's an opportunity to solve it, not to make money out of the problem, but to solve it. It's an opportunity. That's correct. Amita, coming back to how I started writing, I was looking at, like you guys, how things were happening. As Sri Lankans,
Yeah,
we were so fortunate to have a COVID-19 task force immediately appointed by the leader of the country. And if I ask you this question from the audience, did we feel like we were going to die because of COVID-19 during the first wave? I'm sure the answer is no, we never. We never had that fear factor in our minds, because we immediately came to know that there's a team working on different verticals. Actually, if you have gone through the literature, time to time they shared by the presidential secretariat, they identified four lines of operations. They call them LOOs, lines of operations. When other countries were struggling to survive with day-to-day affairs, suddenly they closed down the roads. Millions of people were trapped on roads without any mode of transport. But what did we see here in Sri Lanka? Unknown disease. Nobody knows how to treat, how to tackle it. But Sri Lankan government took swift action to take 600,000 plus pensioners to banks, post offices, and to the pharmacies for them to buy or facilitated there to buy them the required drugs or medicines. And that's how the COVID-19 task force and the rest of the authorities acted swiftly. So there was a team responsible for fighting against the pandemic, to stop spreading, to do contact tracing, and to ensure food supply, to ensure utilities and the power supply is intact. There were so many things. So I don't need to explain. We all witness. Okay, our friends listening from other countries, we never felt during the first wave of pandemic that we were going to die. We were in safe hands. But quite interestingly, if you can
Yeah.
recall, how did the corporate sector respond? My opinion is I'm also representing corporate sector. We were lagging behind. We were a little reluctant, or we were a little slow in responding. While corporate firms were thinking, perhaps they have their board of directors and let's say the hierarchies there, you cannot make decisions as you wish, even if you are the big boss of the organization. But a street seller can immediately announce that, look, if you are in need of this stuff, you can take home free of charge. And they showed us how to make decisions. Not only
Yeah.
street sellers, SMEs, and the guys who are coming in various vehicles to distribute food and so on. So I was thinking, what went wrong with the corporates? 2 weeks gone, 3 weeks gone, corporates were a bit silent. They attempted to help people using their websites, online
Yeah.
shopping, and still they could not manage the masses because the demand was so high and there were so many supply side related restrictions. But individuals and
So
small
high.
timers were quite agile, and they were willing, and they were on the shore. I was thinking, what can we learn from this? Then I started change my hat to my academic mode, and investigated whether I should do a quantitative research or qualitative research. Then I realized that this is something brand new. I should start investigating exploratory design, a qualitative research. And I use the interpretivist ontology, and there's a research technique that goes as thematic analysis. I went through many different verticals. The
Yeah.
government appointed COVID-19 task force was handling. Then I was able to identify similarities in all successful projects they handled. So I was wondering what kind of similarities are there in different verticals. Like I said, food distribution and ensuring security and fighting against the pandemic. What kind of similarities one could
Yeah.
observe using thematic
Yeah.
analysis? Then I came across that I realized that they were making sure that 6 different areas are taken care of. Then I started
Yeah.
analyzing it, and you need to bring creativity as well as logic at the same time, which is quite challenging. And I was able to introduce in this book, I'm talking about this particular tool by looking at how Sri Lanka's
Yeah. Shanta.
COVID-19 task force. Yeah. Yes, Amita.
Yeah. So let me also bring in some comments here.
Yeah.
Our friends who used to come for the show are here. So Viraj says I think he's one of your student. Welcome, sir. He's one of our great lecturer. He says, right. Hi, Viraj. Thank you very much. Prashant Costa says both the book 2 days ago based on Amita's endorsement on LinkedIn. Currently reading chapter 4, and he's talking about our hexagon. Very insightful, I must say. Thank you, and he's thanking both of us. So great. It's great to see that
Thank you, friends,
corporate
for
leaders,
your encouraging comment.
managers are, yeah.
Thank you for your
And
comment.
Fazir says, yeah, Fazir says, interesting and useful program. And okay, Rishan Ahmad says, would love to read the book. So we will show you a WhatsApp number, how you can actually chat and order the book. And we have Tamit. He's our usual visitor. Every Thursday he comes. Good evening, Tamit.
Good
Thank you very
evening.
much for joining. Yeah. And we have Anuralal. He says, great. Thank you very much for joining the conversation. Now, as much as Shanta is talking about his book, Rising in Crisis, I want you also to comment if you have read the book, or if you have any questions. You don't meet him live every day, so throw any questions. Shanta, I want to ask a very special question. Now,
Yeah,
you are talking about R hexagon in this book. So, you are going to give us a maybe 1 minute, 1.5 minute explanation about R hexagon. In the meantime, I will share the screen and show R hexagon uh,
the
to
audience.
the
Yeah,
audience at this moment while
yeah,
you are explaining.
yeah. Thank you, Amita. Well, our hexagon, as you can
Yeah, please
assume,
go ahead.
yeah, it is six words starting with the letter R. Um, what can you do with R hexagon? Well, R hexagon, born in a crisis, this is a robust tool. This is a robust tool which you can use to assess any strategy. It could be a corporate level strategy, business level, functional level strategy. You can assess, evaluate your strategy before you implement the strategy. We are facing a crisis. In facing the crisis, we try to implement various strategies. But if we try to implement, or if we implement the wrong strategy, needless to say that it's a passport to your failure. So we have to be extremely cautious. Now, this tool can be used to evaluate your strategy. It can be a corporate level strategy or middle level or a functional level strategy, whatever it is. You, by using this
Yeah,
tool, simple tool, you can assess the feasibility of the strategy. You can improve it. You can make it robust so that your organization would be resilient. That's the beauty of the tool. Friends,
yeah,
this is my personal experience, not to underestimate great scholars, but if you read strategic management textbooks, you won't come across this kind of a tool. This is very unique. So my gut feeling is not to boast my own work. This would be something everlasting. This should be something everlasting. So I'll quickly take you through the six words.
yeah,
Before we, yeah, in deciding on a strategy, we should have an idea as to what we are going to achieve. That is our ultimate business goal or goals. So that is rephrased as returns. What do you expect? That is the outcome. That is the end result of your strategy. So you have
yeah,
to make sure that you have a clear idea about that. Then you need to think of the action you are going to take in achieving that result. Okay, so I renamed it as response, starting with another R. Now you have identified your end goal. You have identified out of so many options available, the most appropriate action to achieve that result. But what if you don't have resources? Okay, resources can be technology, it can be plant and machinery, materials, human resources, and their
yeah,
competencies, and so on. And assume that all these three are available. What did we experience in the pandemic? We had our factory, brand new machinery installed. We have been running. We cannot access the machines. We had competent workers. They cannot come to the factory or the office. We do have finished goods at hand. We cannot distribute. We cannot reach the market. I told you that this tool is born in a crisis, and this is robust to test your strategies. And reach is about our ability to reach the market, reach the resources. And the next one is about relations. We all realize that how much resourceful you are internally, some external relations, if you lack them, you did not have business or you did not have any operations during a crisis or the crisis. So these external relations, it may be with regulatory authorities and with the market, suppliers, buyers, and even with your competitors. So the pandemic reminded us the importance of having a strong relationship with external parties. And in my book, I have highlighted some of, rather, one of the top businessmen in our country immediately placed an order to import ventilators. And within 3 days or 4 days, he was able to bring the much needed equipment to Sri Lanka. So relations would matter. And the
yeah,
last one in the R hexagon is risk. It covers market risk, technology risk, and reputational risks, and financial risks, and so on. So it is 6 R's you need to be mindful. In my book, I'm explaining all these R's in detail. Just to share with you one example, response. What kind of a response you can show? You can be very aggressive or you can be very conservative. And by looking at action intensity and your response, I have developed another model. Do we have that kind of a model in the world? The simple answer is no, never. And it goes as the CRAM model, that is crisis response and action matrix. By using that, you can decide in which quadrant you should operate, whether you should go on the offensive mode or the aggressive mode or in the defensive mode. So this is our hexagon, a nice tool for you to use. But just because SHANTA Yapa is offering a strategy testing tool or strategy crafting and testing tool, you have to feed ideas. You have to feed, let's say,
Inputs.
creative ideas, inputs to this particular wheel for it to work.
Yeah.
Now, I was thinking it is unfair by my readers, practitioners, if I am offering them a tool which they cannot so easily use. Then I was
Yeah.
thinking about how can I help? Can I offer another tool? Then came to my mind, this is not rocket science, ladies and gentlemen. This is using common sense in a creative manner. I was
Yeah.
thinking, if you are facing, Amita, if you are facing a crisis, forget
Yeah.
business. Okay. I pray that this kind of things you will never face. Let's assume that you are driving on a downhill faster than usual. You try to apply brake and
Breaks.
you realize brakes are not working. What can you do now? Oh, if you
I,
are,
I
well,
look for my handbrake.
that may work, of course, that's one option. Well, I was thinking when somebody, not only human beings, even if an animal is facing a crisis, there are only two things we have to do. Okay, it has to do. What is it? You need to think of increasing favorable outcomes, increasing positive outcomes, and decreasing
Negative.
unfavorable outcomes. Okay, raising favorable outcomes and reducing the unfavorable outcomes. And you cannot implement 10 when you are in a crisis. You need to review the list and select the most appropriate, the vital few. Recall
Yeah.
Pareto law, what we have
Yeah.
learned before. So you might have 2, 3 strategies to input to this nice tool. So I
Yeah.
am offering you in my book a nice plugin tool that goes as plugin 3Rs. If you
Okay.
put these two together, you can do wonders. And just for you, you can go back to the normal screen. Amita, just for your information, there are more than 7 companies now attempting to implement this. How did I get these contacts? That's my MBA community, practicing managers in various levels in corporate organizations. So that is one or other two tools I introduced through my book. Is that only? No. The book offers 5 brand new tools. 5 brand new tools. I'm sure you all have come across mind mapping as a technique. You are asked to do something, you have
Yeah.
never done it before, you don't know where to start. So mind mapping is a very popular technique. I'm sure many of you are using. Similarly, I was thinking, why cannot the words known to us, uh, already known to us, can help in a crisis? Um, Years ago, I introduced a new tool that goes as innovation totogram. When I published it in one website, about 4 years back, in one website that was world's leading innovation website, within a period of 1 month, this particular tool appeared in some 240 places in the internet. Even today, you would see a massive number of websites carrying this as an innovation tool. How did it come to my mind? Amit, you go along, let's say, a road
Okay.
in the middle of the night, and all of a sudden you see a creature which you have never seen in your life. You have never seen, okay, not a ghost, some creature,
Yeah.
very fierce kind of a situation, and you report it immediately to the police. And in a, in this kind of an era
Okay.
where we are digitally connected, all the media people would come behind you and would ask you, Amita, can you please explain what did you
Yeah.
see? And you can perfectly explain. Never seen, but you can explain how, because our vocabularies are much powerful. Things which are yet to come to the world, we can explain. It can be a missile, it can be a rocket, it can be a spacecraft, it can be a new kind of an automobile, it can be a new drug, new food, new way of living, new way of traveling,
Yeah.
which have not come to the world, but we are capable. The moment it's shown to you, you can explain how. Our vocabularies, whether it is Sinhala, Tamil, English, French, whatever the language, vocabularies are much more developed than
Powerful.
the development what we have achieved. So harnessing the power of our terminology, our language, I introduce. I did something similar in this book. I'm offering a tool that goes as word mapping. Those who have already read the book, you would see the word crisis, CRISIS. I have
Yeah.
connected it to various functionalities of your organization. If you are a finance manager, corresponding to the letters crisis, CRISIS, I'm offering you 6 different areas you need to be mindful about in managing funds of your organization. Interestingly, if you are the maintenance manager, I'm offering 6 different areas, sensible areas. Okay, you can
Yeah.
discuss, debate, and it makes sense. And when you go through these 6 areas, you cannot think of any other area you need to think of. So
Yeah.
how beautiful that is. So that is known as word mapping. That is the fourth tool I'm offering.
Use offering. Yeah. Shanta,
Yeah,
I also want to ask you this question. Let's see, we'll look at few comments. Uh, Anjana says, congrats the author, and he seems to know me also because I also, lecture in some places sometimes. So, yeah. And
yeah.
then Sumit says, need to buy one. And then, okay, Sumit, let me show the number that you need to WhatsApp your requirement. Shant, the number is right. Is the number correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you need to send your requirement to this WhatsApp number, and you will be instructed with the delivery and payment instructions. That's for those who wants to purchase this book, and that's for Sumit. Now we have a question from Viraj. He says, "Could you explain how would we raise personal life during this crisis pandemic? I mean, are there any strategies or can we use some of the models in our personal life?"
Well, of course you can use. As we all know, SWOT analysis. We are familiar with SWOT analysis. We teach it in business school. We teach in national schools in grade 7. Uh, we can use it to improve our personal lives as well. Similarly, the tool I am offering, you can use it for your own benefits. Um, and what else an individual, a professional manager, or university student, or citizen, not necessarily in Sri Lanka, in any other country, what can we do during this time period? I'm sure the smart ones are gaining more and more skills, acquire new knowledge. As you all
Yeah,
know, even in my book, I have spared couple of paragraphs to share that what I have come across. Almost all the leading universities, starting from Harvard to MIT to many other universities in different parts of the world, even from this side of the world, Hong Kong Technology University, Nanyang University, and so many universities, they have made their short courses free. Okay,
yeah,
MIT, you can take part in lectures. The lectures are delivered to registered students, bachelors in engineering, many different disciplines. You can join the lecture and listen. And if you like, you can get a certification at a very nominal fee. I'm not here
yeah,
to sell anyone's programs, but there are so many ways to. So, crisis, if you read this book, you will realize that this is not a time period for us to rest. I cannot write. I have my limitations, Amita, in writing a book. You have to be very diplomatic, and you cannot antagonize people unnecessarily, because once printed and distributed, it's with the reader. I cannot defend. So I had to be very conservative and professional in writing. But listen to this story. I'm the maintenance manager, and you are the CEO of my factory, my company. I'm the maintenance manager. Being the maintenance manager, I'm having, let's say, a very nice time. Less activity levels, less export orders. We are waiting for raw materials. Machines are not being utilized like in the past, and I can rest. Okay, should it be the case? No. Um, very soon we will be flooded with, let's assume that so much of orders. Now I cannot say to my factory manager, look, I'm going to stop the factory for scheduled maintenance.
Yeah.
Okay, they will shoot me. What were you doing during the pandemic? This is a golden opportunity for us to think about changing the layout of the factory. Engineers, factory managers, manufacturing managers, technologists who are listening to me, do you think that your factory has the best, most appropriate, most user friendly layout you do have? Many a times you would have thought, while engaged in serious production activities, we would have installed this particular machine at that extreme end. We are following a wrong layout. Use this time to do those changes. In this book, there's a chapter called maintenance. Okay, I worked as
Yeah.
a maintenance executive and a maintenance engineer. Amita, let me share with you or the audience one
Yeah.
experience. My second job was with Upali Newspapers Limited, the company which is publishing The
Newspaper.
Island and Divina newspapers. Those days, that was, let's say, a top
The
ranking newspaper. I'm referring to 1987 to 1999 period. No digital connectivity, no web-based newspapers,
analog
no
era.
e-newspapers. Analog era, okay, 100% analog. And I was
Yeah.
selected as the maintenance executive of the printing press. My background is mechanical engineering, specialization is automotive. Never seen how a printing press was working, but they trusted me and wanted me to learn the process quickly. And after 1 or 2 months, I realized that what kind of a responsibility I have undertaken. Okay, not to underestimate that company. Okay, this is the case with most of the newspaper printing presses. You have only one machine. So many presses, the final product goes through or comes through one single machine. What if that machine is not working? Okay, so so it is a tough job, and I'm sure maintenance managers who are listening to me would benefit this from this book. I'm sharing 20
Yeah.
plus strategic insights, how to show who you are, how to contribute towards the success of your organization as the maintenance manager, as a technician, as an engineer. So similarly, almost all the functionalities are explained, and I have been working in almost all these functional areas. Um, Amita, I'm sure you have a list of
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. So I also want to ask you this question now. Uh, Rising in crisis, you could have two different ways of looking at. Now, I know we always talk about a plan B, an
Yeah,
alternative plan, yeah, contingency planning.
yeah,
I am sure uh, this is the only situation probably that entire world was looking at the contingency plan, no plan B. Otherwise, what happens is you have a plan B, it is
yeah,
in the paper, you never have to take it out.
yeah.
So this pandemic has put people into look at plan B, and then to also to realize that plan B cannot actually really deal with the crisis in hand. Now,
Mhm.
are you offering any insights in the book, or you can even talk about it here?
In the book,
How
yes.
could
Yeah.
how could someone plan ahead for an unforeseen crisis? I mean, now for an example, we will set up fire alarms and other systems to douse a fire if there is a fire.
Yeah,
Now that we can always think ahead.
yeah,
But then now this kind of a thing. So how can we plan ahead for future for unforeseen
yeah.
crisis?
Certain things are written here and there in my book with regard to this particular question you asked. But here's the perfect answer, not included in the book. The reason I did not want to make this, let's say, very theoretical book nobody want to read. If you cannot sleep,
Yeah.
you start reading one page, all of a sudden you start sleeping. No, this is not that kind of a book. If you start reading, that is the response I received, Amit, from my readers as well. You can continue to read. It is written in a very reader friendly manner because I'm supposed to read a lot of books,
I,
whether I like it or not. As a lecturer, yes. Answering your question,
my wife was asking. Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I'll also add something here. I mean,
yeah.
I was recommending this book on LinkedIn and Facebook. Then my wife was asking, I have never seen you recommending a book this much. I said, that's the honest opinion after reading the book. I mean, I couldn't, I, that by that time I haven't completed the book, but then I was so fascinated and I decided I must share this with my audience.
Well,
So obviously what you say is correct. You don't feel like sleeping.
Answering to
Go
your
ahead,
question,
please.
Amita, am I addressing about contingency plans or BCP and that kind of aspects? Yes. Um, if I answer it in this way, the tool I'm offering, the R hexagon, enables you to evaluate your strategy before you implement it. Okay, so you can make a lot of changes even before things
Okay.
go wrong. So that is by doing that, you can make your strategy robust, okay, resilient. It can
Okay.
show, it can withstand to various unforeseen forces from the internal environment as well as from the external environment. Number two, I'm exploring almost all possible areas in each discipline, in each vertical. It does not mean to say that there cannot be any other things. Of course, yes. Okay. I'm reading, I continue to read, of course, even after writing the book. Right now, I'm reading about digital twins. Amita, have you heard of digital twins? If you have a twin brother or twin sister, similarly, now the world, scientists, practitioners are talking about digital twins. Perhaps down the line, in let's say 10 years down the line, when
Okay.
you buy a car, whatever the brand, you are not only handed over the physical car, you are also given a digital car. Imagine, okay? And the physical car is continuously interacting with the digital car, and the digital car is fed with the latest information. And you can run the digital car faster than your ordinary car. Think of a factory. You have just started a factory, or it can be a power plant. The power plant, let's assume that it works at, may not be very relevant, let's say 5,000 RPM, but the digital plant can run at 10,000 and tell the owners, look, why are you running at this speed? You can go up to this speed. Okay. So that's the kind of things. So to be frank, digital twin, I didn't know to include in this book, but there are so many different areas because it opens up your
Yeah.
mind. And something what I have highlighted in my book,
Yeah.
even in my MBA classes, I usually talk about this. Being professionals, Amita, we are trapped. And we are, let's say, we are our thinking, our thought processes are restricted to a very limited area. Let me ask this question. Accountants listening to me, will you ever challenge the debit credit principle? No, never. Until you finish your career, you will worship debit credit principle. The moment you deviate from it, you look very unprofessional. Your chartered membership would be immediately withdrawn. Now, my background is automobile engineering. I have learned about diesel engines and petrol engines. I will never try to put fruit juice or shampoo into the petrol tank and power the engine. I know that it will not work. I should use hydrocarbons. But someone who has not studied automobile engineering might put water and extract hydrogen and try it out, and such things would work. So my message is, we try to be professional and we are killing our creativity. I'm touching those closed circuits, and I'm inviting you to think differently, borrow things from other fields. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I have one more question. Since you are talking about many disciplines, many verticals like maintenance, manufacturing, and all that, your book also has touch on marketing. If I, it will be very unfair. There are a lot of marketers listening, right? You also have spoken about a number of C's in marketing. Would you like to add something here?
Yeah, certainly. Amita, now I have been working in many different organizations, many different sectors. The companies handed over me various responsibilities, middle level and top level. The toughest task I have ever handled were marketing related activities. That's why I respect you guys. I know there's a very common statement in industry. Nothing will happen until a sale is made. We can do analysis, we
Yes.
can talk new terms, new strategies, new insights, but nothing will happen until a sale is made. So I respect
Yeah.
that statement. Um, I'm offering in this book something that goes as 10 C's or C's in marketing.
10 C's.
Once again, this is not to underestimate great scholars, what you believe, what you practice. We have four P's: product, price, place, promotion, and three more added: physical evidence, processes, and people for service oriented companies. And they have gone up to 10 C's, sorry,
Yep.
P's in marketing. Why not we attempt to replace P's with letter E, letter D, letter C for that matter? Okay, so I'm offering an interesting set of C's which are very relevant to marketing. Instead, product, it's not word to word mapping. These are things, perhaps crazy things, subsequently fine-tuned to offer as a, let's say, tangible, acceptable, digestible set of words. Instead of product, I'm using in my C's commodity. What's the difference? The moment you see product, what comes to your mind is expensive, branded, nicely wrapped, with warranties, guarantees, and so on. What do you gain when you hear the word commodity? Very cheap. It can do just the purpose, serve the purpose. That's it. That's what exactly the world is looking for. We
Yeah.
don't have money to buy. Okay. I'm thirsty. I'm drinking water. Okay. I cannot afford to buy fruit juice or milk. So that is one. And the channels, communication, more than anything else, we are living in a, let's say, digital era. Compatibility across devices. Okay, sometimes you have to have 10 different battery chargers or power cables. Okay, so organizations are making life miserable. You have to connect many devices for you to switch on, let's say, news bulletin. You are late, but you need to switch each and every one,
Yeah.
switch on each and every one. So I'm asking, shouldn't you worry about compatibility? Likewise, I'm offering 10 Cs. You can keep on adding. It can be the cuteness of the product,
Yeah.
complexity, so many things.
So we would ask those marketers have a fresh perspective towards marketing, and then what you need to be doing in a crisis. I want you all to probably buy the book, or find the book and then read a little bit more. So Shanta, we also have someone calling from USA.
Yeah.
If you don't have time, let's not answer him here, but you may answer by going back to his comment on the video later. He
Hmm.
says, Yapa, I'm a consultant from USA. I would love to hear your opinion. Modern economy moving towards blur economy. How we how we as Sri Lankans utilize this opportunity. I really don't know whether he's talking about blur economy or blue economy.
Yeah.
So since if we haven't mention anything like that in the book, For the
Yeah.
moment, we'll leave
Well,
the
Amit,
yeah, but yeah,
my answer is there are various things I have written. I cannot pinpoint that you read this area and that area, but I have. If you attempt to summarize the book, let's say if you are an economist or if you are somebody who is very religious minded, um, how would you summarize? Well, COVID-19 has reminded us this is what is already known to us. The extreme, let's say, situations we are facing because of the world has accepted consumerism, and there are various things, materialism, and so on. And by removing all those unwanted things, unnecessary expenses, unnecessary affairs, how to become lean and clean, that is one of the key messages in the book. If you read my chapter on finance and accounting, I'm asking this question from the finance professionals listening to this. How many times you attempted to make
yeah,
your
Shanta,
balance sheet clean and clean? Yeah,
Shanta. So I actually wanted to come there only. You also have covered finance. So
yeah.
maybe we will use this opportunity now, maybe to give us some insights about, some elements from the area that you have written about finance.
Well, I am an ex-banker, as I told you earlier, so I wanted to add more value to my readers. They can be bankers, they can be practicing accountants, they can be company owners, entrepreneurs, and so on. So there are 20 plus different strategic insights. I'm not claiming here that all 20 you can apply, okay? But if you pick the right one, that will work, okay? I'll guarantee that it will work. How do you select? I'm offering you a tool to filter. Okay. So I'm offering you 20 strategic insights. You can check one by one which one is the most suitable, most demanding, most deserving area for you to address right now. If you are incurring huge losses or if your activity level has come down drastically, and if your financial cost is the real burden to us, I'm suggesting you many different ways to restructure finance, discuss with banks and what to do and what you should not do. Okay, when you say 20 plus strategic insights, this can be an acid test to check where you are as a practicing manager. Okay, it is not for only for accountants. A practicing manager should know something about everything, but that something may not be sufficient to help your organization to survive in this crisis because the magnitude is not known. And something I would like to add, I'm not suggesting with this strategic insight that organizations, especially the small SME level organizations, owners should divest or share their ownership. But I have given some suggestions. Amit, if I ask this question, if you are running a company, you are the, let's say, single owner, one man show kind of an organization, and you have the second layer managers, below them technicians, engineers, whoever, and it's a small entity. Okay, do you think that I'm not underestimating any profession or any employee? Okay, don't take me wrong. Who will have sleepless nights in the middle of the pandemic? Mostly the owner. Okay, mostly the owner. The reason, his personal property is mortgaged to the bank. For some employees, I'm not claiming here that employees do not take responsibility, don't take me wrong. But for some employees, what you are going to lose is 1 month job, or 3 months you will be out of a job. Okay, so I'm suggesting owners think carefully. Why not you share a small chunk of your empire? You are not going to, when you one fine day you have to leave this world. Okay, why not you share at least a small chunk, 1%, 2%, 5%, depending on the size of the organization, your ability to donate with your senior employees. They become immediately the owners. Okay, I'm not saying that make them also sleepless. No, they will contribute in an extraordinary manner. So these are various
Shayo.
yeah.
Yeah, so I saw the examples you have quote in the book. Amazing, Shanta. I am sure mainstream media and lot of strategists have missed to use those real-time Sri Lankan example what you have quote, and one from the topmost blue chip company, the other one is from a very small organization. Amazing examples how one can actually share a percentage of ownership, and while helping the employees to be part of it, let also share your pain and the gain at the same time, and then you will you reduce the risk of failing, because
Yeah.
so many brains will be helping you to keep it
Yeah.
forward. Amazing examples. So Shanta, we have few comments, okay, this is a lengthy comment, of course. Sumit says uh, businesses face crisis, but some of the top managements used to neglect the risk. And then we have another gentleman, Sanjeev. This is an inspirational discussion which really ensures survival during the crisis. Thank you. And we have Shohan Kulasurya. Nice to hear you from Shanta. Looks like he knows you.
Yeah.
And then we have a question
Yeah.
from Viraj. Is this correct time, meaning the crisis time, to start
Yeah.
up for a small entrepreneur? Should a small entrepreneur start a business during this crisis? Shanta, over to you.
Well, for some, this is the best time. It all depends on your attitude, your let's say appetite towards risk, how you see the world. And I shared at the beginning the word prob ops. Every problem can be an opportunity for those who are with solutions. Those who are with solutions, and how the world is operating. It's operating not in our favor, Amita, whether we like it or not. And let's assume that you are developing a solution. You are developing a solution. It can be a physical good, or you are offering a service. There
Yeah,
are certain things, predictable or favorable outcomes you predict at the beginning. Okay, think of your own organization. Those who are listening to me, you are going to introduce a new product. It can be a service or it can be a physical good. There are certain predictable outcomes which are favorable to you and the user. That's what you are expecting. Okay.
yeah,
Similarly, there are certain outcomes unfavorable, but you have predicted that such unfavorable outcomes would be there. Let's say I'm a software developer, I'm working for a software company. We know that there will be certain bugs. Okay, we cannot make it bug free. We test and remove the bugs, and then we hand it over to the or install it at the customer premises. So
yeah,
expected unfavorable. But look at, there's another segment we need to be mindful. What is it? There's another quadrant in this particular diagram. I'm sorry, I cannot show it. There are things unpredicted, favorable, unpredicted, favorable. You are developing a solution, it can be applied in some other domain as well, or it can serve another purpose that can surprise you, but it is favorable. Okay, so let me
yeah,
quickly go through the three categories: predicted, favorable, predicted unfavorable. You had a plan to face that. And the third category is unpredicted but favorable. Okay, the if you say that, wow, we never expected this, people would laugh at you because you are the developer. You can't say, you cannot show your emotions. You need to pretend that you knew this kind of an outcome or applicability. But look at the fourth category: unpredictable, undesirable. Unpredictable, undesirable. The
yeah.
book addresses this block mostly. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's in a nutshell the let's say the key focus area of this book.
Okay, Shanta, we have taken about an hour, but I still have one or
Really,
two questions. I
I
still have
thought.
one or two questions that I need to ask you, which I can't let you go without asking them. I also know personally that you talk a lot about innovation. You love innovation. Even personally, I have heard you speaking about innovations. Yeah, I have seen you have run workshops, talks on innovation. Yeah. So
Yeah.
uh, you have you covered that in the book?
Of course, writing a book, forgetting innovation is something I can never think of. So there's a chapter on innovation. This
Yeah.
is a word everybody is talking about. Everybody is, let's say, willing to engage in innovation related activities, but the puzzle, whether these innovations would lead to successful results, is there's a big question mark. So I have offered in this book various strategic insights. One, to make sure that you understand your domain and what kind of an innovation you are looking for.
Yeah.
Starting from that's a wide array of, let's say, terminology is quite wide. Like you have increment, product innovations, process innovations, business model innovations. That's layman's language. But if
Yep.
you go into details, you have incremental, radical, disruptive, reverse innovation. Then we have collaborative innovation, open innovation, frugal innovation. Some 15 to 20 different words. Okay, but I'm showing you ways to do your innovations in line with some of these thinkings. Okay, or some of these practices. Let me share quickly one example. I'm talking about outcome driven innovation. Yesterday, Amita, I was invited to speak in the Great Place for Great
Great place to work.
Work. That is an entity, as you all know. They had their annual conference yesterday. Having
Yep.
seen my book, they invited me to speak about the insights, which I happily accepted. I made a statement in the end. Uh, Going home without this book at hand can probably be the biggest mistake you are going to do in 2021. Don't ask me the response of the people. That's immaterial in this discussion. So I showed this example with a video as well. There's an interesting practice category of innovation that goes as outcome driven innovation.
Yeah.
In 2 minutes, this the summary. We are manufacturing electric drills.
Yeah.
It's Amit's company. The brand name is Amit Electric Drills. And we want to improve. We want to improve. If I ask the audience, who are my, let's say, engineers, come up with ideas, you might say, let's reduce the noise level of the electric drill. Nobody would love that noise. Okay. So let's
Yeah.
make it silent. Let's make it less weight device. Uh, let's improve the grip. Let's have a, let's say, dust collection method. Make it
Mm.
faster. Make it more accurate. Likewise, you might come up with a long list of things to improve
Improve.
the product.
Yeah.
But how about our competitors? They are also thinking along the same lines. Okay, so the probability of coming up with something, let's say, which where you can claim that you have done something great in this domain is very, very minimal. Outcome driven innovation invites you to shift your focus. What are the customers looking for? Are they crazy in buying electric drills, or are they buying something else? Yes, they are buying holes. I'm sure, Amita, you are
Yep.
using this as an example in marketing lectures as well.
Yeah.
They are not interested in buying your electric drill, which is very noisy, which is, let's say, consuming a lot of power, hassle to use, and so on. They want to buy holes, but the only device available to drill a hole is your drilling machine.
Yeah.
But if you can come up with something like, let's say, I'm a chemistry graduate with a PhD in chemistry, I come up with a sticker. You paste it, after 5 minutes, you remove it. What you see is a drilled hole. That kind of thinking is invited through outcome driven innovation. That's an
Yeah.
extreme example, but there are a lot of things. I assume that when you read this book, the book is provoking your thought process to
Yeah.
think differently.
Definitely. And then that's what the pandemic has taught us. If you want to come out of this
Exactly.
crisis, you got to think completely differently. Uh, Even though we have taken little extra time, it's a holiday today. So I want to ask one more question before we conclude the program. Now, when it comes to corporate communication, large organization. Crisis is mostly is a different thing, for maybe marketing or the corporate communication. Something goes wrong, and then that becomes a crisis.
Yeah,
We have seen many examples.
yeah.
Have you touched upon it? Are you giving any advices?
Of course, in the 12 chapters, one chapter is dedicated for corporate communications. A discipline I love. Okay, and I handle corporate communications officially, unofficially in different organizations. I have helped my friends in promoting their corporate communication activities. So there's definitely, well, like any other chapter in this book, 20 plus strategic insights for corporate communication managers. That's an interesting area where you have to make sure that you do things ethically. Okay, I have helped organizations to, let's say, unknown products, unknown brands to be the most prominent. Similarly, individuals. Similarly, when I say individuals, they are professionals, entrepreneurs, and even world-class sportsmen. I cannot name; it's not good, but I have helped. So I have used this knowledge in rather. I wanted to disseminate this knowledge with my readership. So there's definitely a chapter on corporate communications. This is the best time to reposition your organization. I'm not saying that you should unnecessarily exploit the crisis to be the best or show that you are the best. No, I'm showing you a lot of strategic insights.
Okay. Okay, Shanta. So thank you very much. So for those who are thinking about ordering this book or buying this book, this is the WhatsApp number to send you inquiries. It's 07739082262. I know we are in an era where people are talking about getting out of WhatsApp, but just send a message, WhatsApp message to this number with regard to payment and delivery options. So, Shanta, I would like to thank you for coming to this show, agreeing within a short notice. As soon as I order the book, you agreed to come here and have a chat about the book. So, mostly, if you have been listening to us, it is not about the book, but it was about how to rise in a crisis. It's not
Abhita, I
about,
would like to add one more thing
yeah,
before we wind up. Why did I accept your request? Despite my busy schedules, uh, there's a reason. If you can recall, long time back, you were one of my MBA students, and subsequently, I became your student as well. Okay, whenever I had areas where I was struggling in terms of digital marketing, in terms of marketing discipline, where you have positioned yourself as a guru, I became your student. So I wanted to show my gratitude and my appreciation to this great program where you are interviewing different kind of people with different backgrounds, different
yeah,
capabilities, and so on.
yeah. So basically, what we do is you and me put together. I'm also adding value to close to 15,000 of my network on LinkedIn and around 5,000 of network family on Facebook. And then there's immense number of people who could always go to Amita Gamage YouTube channel and check any of the 13 chapters, the 13 episodes, videos that we have covered. I have covered with experts like you. So thank you very much for coming. One more question. I mean, if there are clarifications, once when you read a book, you have clarification, and if the author is a US based or a UK based author, maybe you may have no option of getting any clarifications.
Yeah,
Can the audience, readers, reach to you in some way?
of course I welcome that, and I have shared my contact details, at least the email address, and
Okay.
in time to come there will be a website to interact. I'm willing to help. The reason is this R hexagon, at least the R hexagon would last for a long period of time. I should not compare because there can be people who would view this differently. I would say this is going to be a tool that would be there forever because any commercial organization, any entrepreneur, any responsible professional manager would love to test any strategy before implementing it. So this is
Yeah,
a nice tool. If you have 10 strategies or three strategies, if you are to select the best out of the most appropriate out of the three, this is the only tool available. Okay.
yeah,
If there are
yeah,
any other tools to do this comparison or assessment, feasibility test, or the things I discuss, please let me know. There are
yeah.
no. Okay.
Yeah. And there's no guarantee that there will be no other crisis coming forward in the future. So we need to be prepared. And this book is definitely going to help all of you. So thank you very much, my LinkedIn family, my Facebook family, and those who are joining from YouTube. You can join us every Thursday night at 8:30 for a 1 hour of a fruitful discussion. I mean, today, of course, we ran it for about 1 hour and 10 minutes. Okay, Shanta, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Uh, and good night and stay safe, everybody. Thank you.
Stay safe. Thank you.